I'd like to call to order the December 3rd, 2025 Citizens Advisory Committee of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. May we all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Ruth, can we please get a roll call?
At this time, I'm only those CAC members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. I want to remind you to unmute your microphones by pushing the button on the base prior to responding. Lily Charlotte Landstrom.
Present.
Aquanette Tyson Thomas is excused. Kate Layden.
Here.
James Garvin.
Here.
Tay Gaines is excused. Paula Ryan. Jim Knight.
Here.
Lauren Steve. Cheryl Murente.
Here.
BJ Mishra.
Here.
Michael Cuervas. Myron Uman is excused. James Lafferty.
Here.
Greg Fagan.
Present.
Albert Richwagon.
Present.
Wen Dang. Alex Freeman. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ruth. Staff, are there any modifications to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Can I get a motion? Are there any changes to the minutes from last meeting? If not, can I get a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
Motion to adopt.
Motion first by Jim, second by Albert. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Instructions on how to provide public comment are included in the agenda. Staff, do we have any general comments?
No, Mr. Chair.
As a reminder, for action items on the agenda, there are conflict of interest forms available if needed. At this time, I want to invite any CAC member comments on items not already on the agenda. Seeing none. All right. I want to invite Matthew Moss, Senior Transportation Planner, to provide an update from the staff liaison.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. There we go. So we have a pretty short liaison report today, and we are also going to try to kind of speed along the meeting so that we can all get along to the walk tour that's right after this. We hope some of you will stay and join us. It's actually full, but we'll take you all. So first on the list, we have the Older Driver Safety Awareness Week. This is going to be December 1st to the 5th this week, and you can learn more at safemobilityflorida.com. The MPO call for projects, so that was presented last round of meetings. Applications are going to close on February 13th, so your locality should be working towards submittals for the call for projects. And you can learn more and apply at palmbeachmpo.org/funding. There's also the Countywide Safety Action Plan going on, and you can continue to provide input at palmbeachcountysafetyactionplan.com. There's also the Palm Beach County TMC Tour that will be hosted January 22nd from 10 to 11 a.m. And you can go and register at palmbeachmpo.org/TMC Tour. The 2026 Safe Roads Summit, so save the date, February 26th and 27th at the Broward County Convention Center. And you can register at thesaferoadssummit.org. And as always, get involved at palmbeachmpo.org/participate. And if you haven't already, everyone here should be. Please sign up for our newsletter at palmbeachmpo.org/newsletter.
All right.
And that's all I have.
Staff, are there any public comments on these items?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. Do any committee members have comments or questions about the liaison reports? Jim.
Just curious, what's the definition of older driver? Do I qualify at 61 or?
Also, I do have to say real quickly that a couple weeks ago, there was a transit-oriented development tour in Palm Beach Gardens that I went on, that the TPA hosted. I saw Win there. Fantastic. It was really great, super informative about all the development stuff going there. So my compliments to the staff for pulling that together. It was really, really quality. So, all right, moving on. Action item 2A, motion to elect officers of the calendar year 2026 pursuant to section 4.3B of the MPO's operating procedures. Officers shall be elected annually at the last regularly scheduled meeting of the calendar year. The newly elected officer shall take office at the first meeting of the following calendar year. First, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for the chair. I am currently chair and wish to continue in the role, if you all will have me. Are there any other nominations? All right, hearing none. I'm gonna go ahead and close the nominations and move to vice chair. I'd personally like to nominate Albert to stay on as vice chair, if he'll do it.
Thank you.
Can I get a second on that nomination?
Second.
All right, seconded by Greg.
We actually don't need a second on the nomination, but we will need a motion, a second to
Okay.
pass the slate.
So is there a motion to approve myself as chair and Albert as vice chair for the following
So
year?
moved.
I'm asking for the motion.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
making the motion.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's-
Jim
there
made
you
the
go.
motion and
I
Greg
second
seconded it. Okay,
Oh, there you go.
Greg second, okay. Jim made the motion,
Jim.
Greg seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. All right, formalities out of the way. All right, so we're gonna move on to item 2B. Motion to amend adoption of amendment number 2 to fiscal year 26 to 30 TIP. I want to invite Matthew Massa to present on this item. Matthew?
Good afternoon, members. So Matt Massa with the Senior Transportation Planner of the MPO's programs team, here to present recommended adoption of the Transportation Improvement Program fiscal year 26 through 30 Amendment 2. So as a refresher, the TIP is a list of projects by phase and funding sources over the next 5 fiscal years. The active 26 through 30 TIP was adopted back in June of this year, and we are currently operating under the TIP's 2026 fiscal year. The goal is to maintain work program stability, keeping projects programmed and on their production timeline to ensure the final phase of construction is carried out when scheduled. Next slide. So when is a TIP amendment required? The table here lists 6 specific criteria that can trigger an amendment, with 2 criteria tripping today's call for the action item. The first 2 are new safety projects being added, while the remaining 3 projects actually exist currently in the 26 through 30 TIP, but are having their scopes modified to an extent that requires approval, mainly due to length, but also from cost adjustments. As a reminder, this only impacts the 5 listed projects in this amendment shown in the table. The 2 projects being added are railroad crossing safety projects. The first project on the left is at the railroad crossing south of Military Trail and Beeline Highway intersection. CSX has indicated reliability issues with the existing signal system and determined that to avoid future disruptive maintenance was required now. The second project on the right is just east of the Congress Avenue and Southwest 10th Street intersection. The city of Delray reached out to the DOT for financial assistance after it was determined by the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, SFRTA, that signal, pedestrian gates, and crossing surface work would be required to meet a request from the city for additional sidewalk work on the crossings south side. And do note that both projects utilize federal railroad crossing improvement, not MPO funds, which is all listed in the backup. And then the 3 existing projects being amended are all signal upgrade and improvement projects. Revisions are bolded and underlined in the table shown here. The changes seen for signalized intersections are from them being reorganized between project numbers. There are recalculations of project lengths from the reorganization, which is a criteria that can and did trigger an amendment here. The table on the next slide will show you the specific intersections for each project proposed in this amendment. So just to highlight the 3 intersections specifically affected here. For the first FM, you have Forest Hill Boulevard at I-95 is going to a separate safety project. Glades Road at Town Center Boulevard is being incorporated into FM 448-1351. And Congress Ave at Donald Road is being incorporated into FM 449-8791. So the amendment is currently open for public review. Members and the public can visit palmbeachmpo.org/TIP to learn more about the projects, use our interactive TIP review tool pictured here, and provide public comment until final action at the December 11th, 2025 governing board meeting. Projects are also directly linked to the TIP review tool via the agency's MPO mapping tool, where any mapped projects seen today are at palmbeachmpo.org/map. And with that, Mr. Chair, staff are asking for a motion to recommend adoption of the Transportation Improvement Program FY 26 through 30 Amendment 2.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Are there any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Do any committee members have comments on this item? VJ?
Just a quick question on those two new projects, the railway one, the funding currently is only for design or is for the whole entire project?
For the PE and construction.
Oh, complete?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Ruth, I neglected. Will you please mark when Dang is present? Thank you. Any other comments on this item? I personally, after my agenda review with Matthew, did go on the tip tool. Very cool. Really easy way to understand what was going on. So I do appreciate that being available to us. Any other member comments? All right, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Alpert, second by VJ. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. All right, and so we want to invite Matthew again and Justin Stroh from FDOT D4 District Freight Coordinator present on the Florida Department of Transportation and MPO overview of freight planning initiatives within Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will just do a quick high-level overview, and then I'll ask Justin to kind of go into FDOT side of the elements. So, excellent. Thank you. So, high level, the designated network highlighted here shows roadways that the MPO can assist the most with, such as the National Highway Freight Network and National Highway System. You can see major airport and seaport connections, along with where freight activity areas identified in a recent FDOT study related to freight traffic are shown to their proximity to these two highway networks. Excellent. And again, just highlighting Port of Palm Beach and the airports, the county airport systems, which includes PBI, the North County General Aviation Airport, the Park Airport, which is Lantana Airport, and the Glades Airport out in Pahokee. Also, we'll just highlight the existing rail infrastructure found in Palm Beach County. So you can have, so included here are the Chelsea Seaboard Consolidated Transportation, so that's CSX, which incorporates their freight line and also regional transportation, passenger rail through Amtrak. You also have the Florida East Coast Railway, which has Florida East Coast Freight, and also the newer Brightline regional private regional rail service. Then we also have the South Florida Rail Corridor, which was originally a CSX line bought out by the state and is now used by CSX regional passenger rail through Amtrak and also commuter rail for Tri-Rail. And then last, out in the Glades, all of the gray on the left there in the map is the South Central Florida Express, which is a freight line. And that's for anyone who's been out there, those are the sugarcane trains that are usually driving around bright yellow. So, and then this map just highlights truck travel time reliability on the National Highway System. So the MPO reviews and reports on federal performance measures with the NHS, but this is also used to help identify projects that could help increase system reliability overall, not just for trucks, but for the entire system. There's also the truck travel time reliability that's separate from the system reliability, and it just helps us narrow down where like freight traffic is for this instance. And then just one more quick highlight, the MPO is on the MPO's radar is the US 27 connector to in the Glades. So FDOT is currently finalizing an alternatives corridor evaluations, and the 4 alternatives are shown in the picture there. The evaluation is nearing completion and will focus on alignments 2 and 3 for project development and environmental, so PD&E study. A public input process assisted FDOT in moving forward with these 2 alignments. And then with that, I'll allow Justin to give a more detailed overview into those elements.
Thank you. And good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Thank you for having me. My name is Justin Stroh. I'm the District 4 Freight Coordinator. Great. So today we'll go over a brief background, freight activity areas and the network, and truck system safety analysis, and the truck parking supply and demand analysis that is underway. One important thing to note is with the Secretary's compass, supply chain is one of those elements. Truck and freight specifically does connect to all of the elements, not only the supply chain, but our goal here is to move people and goods efficiently. The overarching comprehensive plan that the state has is the FDOT Freight Mobility and Trade Plan. It's comprehensive in the sense that it identifies freight activity, performance measures, trends. It looks at needs and issues related to freight throughout the state. It has outlined objectives, strategies, and investments to work through. And specifically, one important call out is the project prioritization, which uses the National Highway Freight Program to grade different projects to then fund them on an annual basis. This is also an important plan. It is required by the National Highway Freight Program to receive funds on an annual basis. That program is the National Highway Freight Program. It's a formula-based program. The state of Florida gets about 65 million per year. It's made up of 3 different networks: a primary highway freight system, critical rural freight corridor, and a critical urban freight corridor. In Palm Beach specifically, it's 95 portions of 710 Martin Luther King and connector roads to the port as well. We did an analysis back in 2024 looking at freight activity and the network to get to that first and last mile. So it looked specifically at truck trips, employment, industrial, and freight land uses. It looked at a hierarchy of low, medium, and high. We identified 15 locations that had significant freight activity, either a combination of truck trips, land use, or employment. We use that to identify improvements in and around those areas to move goods more efficiently. They're the economic engines of Palm Beach. We then identified a roadway hierarchy, starting with limited access highways all the way to those smaller connector roadways, looking for improvements from capacity, safety, congestion management. And then ultimately, this is a good guiding force for projects that relate to freight. So again, with those 15 locations, we see the most truck activity within that region. We're underway with the truck system safety analysis. It's looking at freight system as a whole within District 4, aligning with our target 0. So specifically looking at commercial vehicle crashes. So the crash would have to involve a commercial vehicle in some fashion. We identified hotspots throughout the district, specifically in Palm Beach. We identified 5 locations to then ultimately go out and we determine different countermeasures or a process of improving that location. So you'll see on the right-hand side, that's a heat map of our highest areas of commercial vehicle crashes throughout the district. It used 2024 data for a consecutive year. You'll see this is a call out to commercial vehicle crashes over the last 5 years, specific to Palm Beach County. You'll see an upward tick through 2020 to 2024. Our goal is to have a comprehensive plan that outlines improvements from short-term to long-term, which would be more of a capital project. We also wanted to look at how does District 4 and the state and our partners evaluate commercial vehicles in terms of safety. So we've been identifying federal to state to local safety procedures and processes to call out that commercial vehicle, see what opportunities we may have. And then ultimately we'll identify funding mechanisms for those countermeasures for short to long term as well. So truck parking and the challenge of truck parking. Just for context here, from a national perspective, these are statistics from the American Transportation Research Institute, about 1 space for 11 truck drivers. Truck drivers spend about an hour looking for parking each day. That equates to about $5,500 per year. Locally here, we've discussed with truck drivers sometimes up to 2 hours per day looking for truck parking. I want to remind everyone there's the hours of service. It's 11 hours of driving and 10 hours of sleeping. So once you hit that federal hours of service of 11 hours, you're mandated to rest for 10 hours. So that becomes the challenge when you have a statistic like 1 hour looking for that truck parking a day that eats into your overall drive time. About 58% of drivers nationally park in unauthorized places at least 3 times a week. So if we draw into or zoom into Florida's challenge, we'll see that within a 24-hour period, most of our truck parking occurs overnight and peak between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. So you'll see at our rest areas and other facilities a higher rate of utilization. Then typically Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays generally experience the highest rate of parking. Just wanted to mention on the right-hand side there, that was a statewide study done in 2020 using Atria data to look at authorized and unauthorized parking throughout the state, identify existing truck parking facilities, and the utilization. You'll notice that the Tri-County area down south is one of the areas of concerns. So then we kicked off a truck parking supply and demand analysis. It piggybacks on a 2017 assessment that looked at how much truck parking would be needed for the future. So this analysis, which is underway, conducted demand. So we first looked at how much truck parking does each county have, public and private. You'll notice in 2017, there was about 5 sites. Today, based off the 2024 data, again, no growth, so 5 truck parking locations at an average of 33 spaces per site. In total, the county has 165 truck parking spaces. We use that as the inventory for this analysis, and then we calculated using proprietary data to identify stopping events, which then expanded into what is the utilization rates of those 165 spaces. And then we expanded that in the model to future demand. So we calculated, okay, what do we need today in current year to 2045 to properly plan? So this is a breakdown of that analysis. You have Palm Beach truck parking needs. So if we follow the graph here, the current supplies, again, 165. Today, we need about 924 spaces. That's a deficiency of 759 spaces that Palm Beach County would need to meet that current demand in the region. If we project that then to 2045 using the model, we need 1,312 truck parking spaces in Palm Beach County to meet that future demand. That incorporates land use changes and development and industrial activity that is projected to come to the county. Then that would mean by 2045, we would need an additional 1,147 spaces. This is all based off of the analysis using stop analytics based on 30-minute stopping events. Again, I want to highlight that the current inventory is about 165 spaces in Palm Beach County. How the department is looking at ways to expand truck parking facilities, our rest areas within our right-of-way, weigh in motion stations, looking at additional parking in any of the state-owned right-of-way, as well as standalone truck parking facilities to support the need by 2045, which is, again, going to be 1,312 spaces. Thank you, and any questions?
Thank you very much. Ruth, are there any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, so any committee members have questions? All right, we're going to start with Jim.
Justin, thank you very much.
Mic on.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Very informative. First question is it possible that a copy of your presentation? Because I think that's very important. And I've been following a little bit of the industrial outside storage. There's places like in Hialeah and stuff like that that has like an overabundance of it. Then places here in Palm Beach County. I was kind of shocked to see that it's only 165 spaces. That includes the private and the public?
Correct.
And how do you find out whether they're there or not? Is it through land use or through?
Yeah, so we use the registry to identify locations. We vetted that with the 2017 data and the statewide data to confirm that those are existing facilities, as well as regular search engines to see if anything would pop up. Then we verified that it's an open facility outside of our public facilities.
And are those all I assume the private they're charging for, the public of DOT, they're probably not charging, is that right? Or?
The turnpike would be the exception there. So that is classified in the private portion, that being that it's a tolled.
So does that mean
facility.
you're paying because you're paying for the mileage, or you pay to actually stop your truck and
To use
park?
the facility, as in
Right.
the turnpike as a whole, not
Or you-
to park.
So it's not just for the parking, it's for the
Correct.
driving. Because one of the things that I'm seeing is in here in Palm Beach County, I follow a lot of the land use and stuff like that, is that they used to have a lot of places where if you're, I call it the mow, blow and go, you're a landscaper, you're not a true nursery, right? You're a landscaper that does it, cut the grass, hedges, whatever else, kind of mow, blow and go. And then also a lot of the hardening of the infrastructure, whether it's Pike Electric, working with FP&L and so forth. And the county as a whole has been pushing people out of places like Heritage Farms, Jupiter Farms, the acreage. They had the trucks driving around downtown here a few, maybe a year ago or something like that. So it's somewhere that I think if you're seeing this greater demand coming up, and we're short right now, that they're gonna have to find locations for that. Are there ideal locations versus not so ideal? I mean, the county's certainly saying it's not ideal to be in the neighborhoods, right? So if you're a
Yeah.
tow truck driver and you lived on 5 acres, all of a sudden you can't park that tow truck unless it's a very small one. I think they said 350 size truck or smaller.
Yeah.
Is the DOT looking for locations for that, or how's that?
Yes, to
Yeah.
answer the question of where is appropriate truck parking, typically statewide and nationally, we're looking along facilities such as the 95, 75 turnpike to have, those are where our industrial activities tend to be. Again, with land use, cohesion, away from communities, schools, hospitals, those are the sites that are preferable nation and statewide. Looking at places where land is available is also the question. So, within the freight activity areas analysis, we identified those 15 locations. Those are where most of the truck trips are for the county. So ideally, supporting the industry within the county in those areas, whether it be staging facilities or overnight parking. But to your second question, yes, we are looking at applicable areas to expand truck parking, like I'd mentioned, within our rest areas, way motions, within FDOT right of way, and then ultimately potentially standalone facilities as well.
Gotcha. And are you going to be able to email that, Ruth, to us, the presentation? Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you again very much.
you.
Very, very informative.
All right, VJ, you're next.
Thank you. Again, thanks. Great. First of all, great presentation. I did not know a lot of facts which you had here. A couple things I'm surprised about, again, the number of parkings, but I never thought that we have such a huge gap of need versus supply. So thanks for bringing that up. The thing I was more curious about is the heat map of the accidents. If you can share that on the screen.
Are we able to reshare? As they pull that up, I just want to reiterate, this is involving a commercial vehicle. So it does not have bike, pedestrian, or car-to-car collisions.
The one before this, there you go. So if I'm looking at this one, it looks like there is obviously South Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. That's where I'm looking at it. But the next graph, it looks like Palm Beach County has a higher rate than Broward County. Next slide, if you want to go to the next one. There you go. Look at the numbers over here. For some reason, Palm Beach County has a higher
amount of crashes
Yeah.
per year with the commercial vehicle involved. Palm Beach County has significant industrial activity.
Really?
15 locations that are considered high freight activity, which could equate it's a, it aligns with the other data that's being presented.
Yeah, the unique thing I noticed that Palm Beach County has stayed kind of just pure numbers, it's kind of stayed even, but
Mhm.
Broward numbers are going up. So it's because they have starting to get more commercial activities over there, different than Palm Beach County.
We'd have to dive into that a little bit deeper. We look specifically with the target 0, looking at fatal and serious injury crashes, and that's how we identified the locations. 25 total, 5 in each county. Yeah.
All right, Lauren, you next.
Good afternoon. Can we go back to slide 15 for a moment, please? So if I'm understanding the map right, those are highlighting the specific locations where the crashes took place, right?
Yeah, so we did a geospatial analysis of the specific location using Signal 4 data, which is the statewide database that
Sure.
has all crashes. This is a pinpoint then turned into a heat map of where the highest concentration. So you'll see on here, the red is the highest concentration of crashes.
Is there any understanding or analysis of if the areas where the commercial vehicle crashes are taking place generally correspond to where vehicles for personal use, like the overall kind of crash data? Is there a high degree of correspondence there, or are there outliers that are particularly notable?
Typically with this analysis, we actually looked at different roadway types. So we called out expressways or assist facilities, and we looked at the state highway as a whole. To answer that question, we'd have to go back to the analysis. We found an opportunity, though, to look at commercial vehicles specifically to see, not only the safety of the drivers in the community, but the movement of goods efficiently. So we were curious to see then, where are those hotspots and why are there reoccurring themes at those locations? So then we actually went out to and did field observations as well to know. But I can get back to you on, do they correlate to our high density crashes overall?
Okay, cool.
Great
Thank you.
question. Thank you.
Albert.
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you. I'd just like to point out that somebody tried to put a truck stop and parking area in Lantana, and the city denied it. And then there was also a truck spot that was supposed to come through on West Atlantic Avenue in the Turnpike that was also denied due to community pushback. It definitely is a problem. I travel in the motorhome over the summer and notice anytime after 8 o'clock, you can't even drive into a rest area. And there's massive amounts of trucks parked everywhere in front of the no parking signs, into the rest areas, out of the rest areas. And I've had to myself find a place to park, finding a Walmart or something like that, which they don't allow tractor trailers. So it's definitely a nationwide problem that needs to be addressed. These guys are hauling our food and our freight, and we need to make sure they can have a place to rest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl.
Thanks. A very good presentation. And one of my questions is, when it comes to, you mentioned that there's like unauthorized parking.
Mhm.
Can you collect data of where that is happening?
So a few analysis have done that, and they use heat maps to identify authorized and unauthorized. We have a baseline with our analysis to how many locations there are within, say, Palm Beach, and then where the most stopping happening. It doesn't get granular to that data set is proprietary. So it's a hex zone analysis. To simply put it, they put it in a region.
So yeah, there's no way to correlate that data with potential sites, because it would seem like if that's where they're stopping, like that's the natural behavior of where the 10 hours are up or something like that. And then would that be able to address like where sites should go?
Yeah, so in conjunction with the freight activity areas where we have the appropriate land uses, we also are looking at where is the most unauthorized locations to overlay that to identify, the most suitable. Ultimately, then there's a process to, okay, is there land availability, and there's other elements within that. But great point, and yes. Thank you.
Albert. No, you're good. Any other questions? Kate? Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. Great presentation. I was curious, is there more data available related more to the cause of these crashes? Like, are you seeing that it is a direct result of driver fatigue, or is it more environmental related, or?
So we are finalizing or rather drafting the final report, and it seems that overarching is lane departure. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the no zone of a truck, but 4 quadrants in the front, back, left, and right are not visible. So those are blind spots. The Signal 4 database has the report from the police officer or local police officers, the FHP. And there's different categories that you can look at, and it will decipher what was that accident, how did it occur? Yeah. But overarching again would be the lane departure, whether it be from the vehicle or the commercial vehicle.
Interesting. Yeah, I was actually hauling freight to Miami yesterday, so this is very interesting to me.
Appropriate.
Any other comments from the committee? All right, just thank you very much for the presentation. It was great. The information, the data speaks for itself, and the shortage on spaces was kind of alarming. Actually, from my point of view. So one question I have for you is, what are there solutions for this that are currently in the pipeline with FDOT, be it own funding, be it partnership with municipalities, P3s? Is there things in the pipeline to actually address these shortcomings, particularly in Palm Beach County?
Yeah, great question, and thank you. We have a truck parking working group to identify mechanisms to implement truck parking, whether it be state or privately. It's looking at funding strategies to implement within the FDOT right away. So we had a 2023 implementation guide for truck parking. That's where we're looking at our rest areas as ways for expanding that unmet need. However, in Palm Beach County, there are no rest areas or weigh in motion stations. So we are collectively looking at applicable land uses to expand truck parking as to meet that 2045. And this would be the business case.
And to piggyback off an earlier question, you are using the data and time, trip durations, trip lengths to plan out, strategize the best locations for these potential investments.
Correct. And the freight program, the National Highway Freight Program, is a perfect mechanism to fund those types of projects. Again, $65 million a year. You're seeing a lot of truck parking throughout the state being funded through that program.
Great. Thank you. Jim? Yeah.
One last question, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's on. There used to be on I-95, like the Boca Deerfield border, there was a rest stop there as a kid when I was growing up, and then they closed it off because a bunch of activity was not so kosher that was taking place there. Does DOT or I guess it was DOT or Federal Highway combination, right? I'm wondering if that may be able to be opened back up now and do some parking, just as a suggestion, because that was something that they used to have rest area for trucks, and maybe you just do it for trucks only. If you got such a shortage, again, I think it was on both the east and the west sides. I know for sure it was on the west side of 95. I think right by Palmetto, Hillsborough, somewhere right there in that area, maybe a location where they could put some of those trucks that are needed.
Great point, and we can look into if there's any land available in that location. I do believe there is a water treatment facility in that region though, as well.
Yeah, Lauren.
Thanks. Sorry, one random thing popped to mind. In the projections for, I guess it's 2045, is that right?
Correct.
How are you, and if so, how are you taking into account the prospect of autonomous vehicles in those calculations? Are we assuming that there will be autonomous trucks on the road by that point that probably wouldn't need to rest? How is that taken into consideration?
Yeah, great point. I would say policy typically comes first with those types of things. With truck drivers in the community, we're professional truck drivers, so it could be a potential future countermeasure of sorts. But ultimately, we're seeing with the land use activity and whatnot, there is no, to my knowledge, any pilots currently in the state of Florida. I believe maybe in Texas there is.
So these projections assume that every truck is manned by a person who will have to abide by that rest requirement.
Correct.
Okay.
It's calculated by stopping events, so
Okay.
the truck stopping.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Any other questions? Justin, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. That being said, administrative items 4A through 4D are informational only. There will be no staff presentation unless requested by a committee member. Seeing no request. Staff, are there any public comments on any of these items?
No, Mr. Chair.
Our next CAC meeting of the Palm Beach Metropolitan Planning Organization, I'm gonna keep saying that until I quit saying TPA, is scheduled for February 4th, 2026. At this time, our committee meeting is adjourned.